Jackson.
Okay.
No comments from the public, no old business.
Okay. New business. Jumping right in with the June bills. Any questions from anybody on anything? Bill-wise? Okay. Imprest and deposits. Okay. Over 5,000 purchase orders. Oh, good. CDS payables. Any questions on that?
No questions.
All right. And that's going to take us to the fall bids.
For 190 pages.
Yeah.
Right, I saw that too. I was like,
right. Yeah. Big month. Well, you guys know.
let me print this
It's
one
always
out.
trying to get every bill paid to close out the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we had 44,633,000 in low bids. Here's how the breakdown shook out. These are our typical bidders for all of our various fall sports. Big one,
How does Seaver
football.
Electric get in there?
You know, they are in there for touch pads for swimming. They do the touch pads, that you set in the pool that go into the timing system. So
Okay.
that's how you see them in there. They actually they have most of our scoreboards. The new one that we're getting at Bremen with the new project is Sievert was a low bid on that as well. So Bremen's going to get a nice new updated scoreboard. Theirs had to be demoed. It was the oldest one in the district, but it was also contained inside the track.
Yeah.
So anything inside the track had to go. So they lucked out. Don't tell anybody else. I don't think anybody else knows that yet, but they'll all be they'll be calling. Yeah, once that's up there. But no, the other schools have actually all had new scoreboards in the last 10 years, with the exception of Bremen. Theirs is 20 plus years old. So any questions, or we okay with these?
Yeah.
All right. The next one is property and casualty insurance renewal. We have most of our numbers. I talked to Mesero today. They're finalizing, they're trying to finalize an umbrella policy from another carrier that would be cost beneficial for us. So I don't want to present any of the numbers because it would just get confusing. So if the committee's okay, we're going to just hold this item, and then I will, once I have those tomorrow or Wednesday, I'll share those with you guys, and I'll put that in the full board for the upcoming. One quote was a little higher, the current vendor. The other quote was a little lower with another reputable vendor, but they didn't have a couple of the insurance lines of credit in there, so that's what Mesero was trying to work to see if we can get those locked into the umbrella and still save money. So again, yeah, we're working on that, and as soon as I get those finalized, I'll share those with them. But nothing drastic. We did have a few claims that are outstanding right now. There's a sexual harassment claim that's on the book, so that's everybody's a little bit, not knowing where that's going to go. The carriers don't know where that's going to end up, so they're skeptical about that one. But that one, plus a couple of our other loss runs on the renewal, drove the renewal up with our current vendor, ICRMT. And we've had a few, slips, trips, falls, claims, that are unfortunate, but they're still, they're pending. We're trying to get those wrapped up, but that's what driving some of the issues. Next is our health and dental insurance renewal, and I have a binder like this for each of you to read for the weekend to review. Yeah.
Your word for it.
Overall, very favorable renewals on the PPO side. We're an increase of 5.8%, so that's below trend. That's much better than where we were last year. I think we were almost 10% on the PPO side last year, renewal-wise. Dental is a 0%, so dental's staying the same, so that's going to work out well. And our HMO is a 5.5% renewal. So, in comparison to trend, that what's going on everywhere else, I was very pleased with those numbers. They came back higher initially, and Mesero beat them up and drove that down. So, again, very favorable overall for what we have.
And dental care, the health carriers?
Allied Benefits is our TPA. They administer that, and I forget the network that we have.
So it's not like Blue Cross?
It's not Blue Cross. It is a dental network, so it's similar to the PPO, where in-network gets a bigger discounted rates than out-of-network for the dental. And, oh man, Guardian, that's the name of it. Guardian is the network for the dental. So if we're okay with that, we will present that. And I'll include a summary page in the board packet, but I do have binders for you guys if you'd like them. I wasn't joking about that.
Neither were
No,
we.
very thorough, yeah. Well, if you can't fall asleep at night, they're great.
That'll help.
They're great. Okay, Exterminator Contract renewal. Smithereen, again, is keeping their rate the same. I think we've been able to get them to hold the rate the last several years, so we're at $49.44. So that was good news there. The next thing is the disposal contract. Went back and forth. We had a big meeting with Homewood. They are recommending about a little over 4% increase with everyone, with the exception of Tinley Park High School. And one of the reasons is we've had a rate freeze pretty much for the last 3 years, so we were due for an increase. Terry's done a good job of working it out to get the rates the same. But in terms of Tinley, the good news is we've eliminated a dumpster and stopped using that and condensed some of the processes there, saving dollars on a monthly basis. So with the savings for Tinley, because they were the highest one, we're actually on a monthly basis going to be less overall, even though there is a little over 4% increase for the other ones. In Tinley, you see here, they used to have an additional dumpster, which again, Terry worked with them to eliminate that. So their rate last year was $780 a month at Tinley. So they're coming down to $526.
They've got, I don't understand. Look at, they've got a bigger recycle dumpster than Oak Forest, but Oak Forest is more expensive.
It's the number of times that they pick up.
2 times a week instead of every other week.
Right.
Okay. I misread that.
That's what it is. Yeah, we spent about an hour and a half with the vendor going through all this stuff. It'll make your head spin after a while. And he started trying to say, well, your cubic weight per foot is, our audit's showing. I said, well, let me see the audit. I'd like to see that. And he's like, well, then he backed off of that. So.
Why there's so much going on at Bremen compared to the other 3 schools?
They have a little different system of what they do. They have these smaller ones, these 2-yard ones on wheels that the way they do it is they wheel them over to the dock and then they load in and then they wheel them back out where the pickup area is. So they do it a little bit differently. Each one has a little bit different setup. But overall, the renewal, like I said, on a monthly basis, we're going to be down slightly for next year because of the modification at Tinley. So I think this is a favorable.
1 year?
Yes, this is a 1 year.
I know at other places, Homewood is notorious for putting in a line where it automatically renews. And
Yes, right. This is a 1 year, and yeah, we won't have that line in there. And Terry will be on him to beat him up, so not worried about that one.
Okay,
So we're okay with that?
we're good.
Next we have the technology items that are scheduled for summer, and I just want to go over these with the committee. We've worked these into the overall technology budget, but I'd like to share with the committee and with the board what's going on. So annually we do computer upgrades where we have our computer replacement on a rotation. So every 5th year, one area gets replaced. So these upgrades are part of that rotation. We're looking at 360 computers and laptops. These are, I believe, teacher stations and administrative laptops this cycle that are going to be replaced out. And we are doing the same thing that we have incorporated the last 4 or 5 years. We utilize the refurbished newer model Dells, and we save considerably, and they're under the full warranty. So, you know, it's really worked out well since.
I bought those.
Yeah, I mean, Jim didn't want to do it initially, and I talked him into, let's give it a try, and it's worked out really well for us. And it's saved us considerable dollars annually versus buying new.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other thing is the new content filter. Well, the computer upgrade is about $122,000. The content filter that has some additional protections per the Protection Act is $17,000. Some site-to-site connections that are going to be upgraded to 1 gig connections, so that allows us a bigger pipe bandwidth in talking between buildings and from the ad center to the high schools, because our main pipe comes here and then it branches out to the schools. And that's actually no cost. It's a monthly thing that we negotiated, and Jim did a good job on this. It's going to be less per month when you factor in the E-rate discounts and things. So that, and it's, to buy the bandwidth is getting cheaper and cheaper now too. There's more players in the market, and since we moved away from AT&T, it's been a lot more beneficial for us. And then the phone system cutover is just updating some of that stuff. It's about $3,000. And then we've got Richie, our student intern, working alongside Jim for the summer. He's doing a great job. So.
Is he getting paid?
He is getting paid, yes. We did, and we did up his hours. I think there was 2 interns last year, and they were working 10 hours a week. And Richie had requested to see if he could get his hours upped, because he had another job that he could do, work more hours, but he wanted to work here. So he's working 30 hours a week for us. And we're getting every penny out of him. He's a brilliant young man. He's probably going to be, you know, somebody.
Winner on both sides there.
Oh, yeah. He'll be like the next guy that invents something big, and hopefully he remembers us when he does. So, just wanted to share those with you, and we'll start seeing POs for some of those things. But again, those will be in the overall technology budget. That'll be incorporated in the budget when it's reviewed in July. This one is just a formality. The board had already approved doing the abatement and the gym floors, but this is the abatement approval of the specific contractor after we bid this out. So the low bid was from Universal. You can see the bids here, and that work is pretty close to being completed. I know, in fact, I think they are completed with the abatement portion of it. They'll be working on the install of the new floor then at Oak Forest will be the next project.
That's the main gym.
That's the main gym, yes.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not put down properly, like many things in Oak Forest.
The boards are like this.
Yeah. And they glued it, and it kept popping, and then the glue they used contained asbestos mastic.
Great.
So, have you been around? Have you seen everything with Oak Forest? We replaced cardboard ductwork there, and all, just panel walls, and the money that we've spent replacing things done on the yes.
Like 40.
Yes, yeah, I think there's 32 rooftop units, so yeah.
Short time cheap, long time expensive.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And then this is the bid for the gym flooring. The Oak Forest, as we mentioned, also Tinley Park and Bremen. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with what went on in those when they were originally built. Bremen and Tinley are identical in terms of their gyms, and the original design had the duct shaft under the floor. So it was a concrete section underneath the middle of the gym floor. It runs all the way at Bremen from the stage all the way back. And over the years, the structure that they used to bridge that duct shaft, so if you picture this is the middle of the floor at Bremen and Tinley, the structure that they used was not adequate, so it's failing. So there's a bunch of dead spots in the middle of the floor going down Tinley and Bremen. So what's taking place is those sections are being pulled up. A new structure is being replacing what is there that we won't ever have to worry about. They're pouring a new inlaid deck to bridge that gap. And then new flooring is being put back down, and then the whole floor is being refinished. So the whole thing will look brand new.
That's an original floor.
That's an original floor, yes. At
both,
both and Tinley's is as well. Yeah, they're both original floors. So, so they'll look brand new. I might have on the way out.
So
I can show you the renderings.
450 is for the 3.
That's for the 3, yes. So no, considering if it was just a floor install, it'd be one thing, but also all the other work that's going into Tinley
and includes the refinishing.
And refinishing, repainting. When you see them, and they all got to pick out what they wanted, so they all kind of went a little bit, had some fun with it, and it's going to look beautiful. And Hillcrest is also getting done, but that's under a separate cover for Hillcrest. So we decided after the fact, because the numbers were coming in good, that we would be able to redo Hillcrest, and that's not going to cost nearly
Make sure you say that at the meeting.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Well, and that's initially because theirs wasn't bad, but they had a couple sections that they had repaired, so the coloring is off in those sections, and you have 3 that look brand new, and then one that doesn't. Then people start taking and running with that we're neglecting one particular building, and that's not the case. But to make sure that it wasn't the case, they're all going to look beautiful when we're done.
Awesome.
So we're okay with that. All right, and then I have 2 other things that I want to pull up. If you give me a second here. If I can get into my... So I got this morning from our architects, and that's why I didn't have a chance to get it on the agenda. But we did the bid for the track a while back when we did the other bids, and it came in a little higher than we anticipated for the work that needs to be done with the new turf fields, and then the resurfacing of the tracks. So that's one piece, and then the other piece, we bid out the Bremen softball field because the freshman softball field is being relocated to the east because the building pad for Bremen is going to be there. So we bid out that field. We're rejecting that. We have to do that. The board has to formally reject that. So that's one of the action items that we'll have the board approve at next Tuesday's meeting, is the rejection of that ball field. We only had one bid, and it was a really high bid. So we need to reject that. But going back to Midwest Track is a company that's we've worked with for the last, since I've been here, 13, 14 years. And the bid was in two sections. We had one section, the main portion of it was to do the D zones in our new fields. So if you picture the oval track, they call it D zone beyond the end zone. It's filling in that oval section. Mm-hmm. So what needed to be done there in all four buildings was we had to pour new asphalt to raise that D zone up, and then that D zone surface was going to be surfaced the same as the track. So they were going to put the LR6 Seal Flex system on that D zone to match the tracks. And then there was also some detail work that had to be done on the curbing with the track. So we said, well, if they're doing that and they're doing the detail work, let's get a price for resurfacing the whole thing and restriping it. So that in the end, when we have the new fields, we'll have new lights, we're going to have new tracks. It's going to look just fantastic. And Terry really worked on Midwest on this, and he really did a nice job working with them, and they redefined the initial scope based on how Terry putting his construction mind to work. They redid the curb detail to eliminate a lot of the hand troweling that was going to be in the old detail. So the result is we're going to approve the two original bids, and then we're going to get a change order credit back of $116,000 based on the reworking that scope. So really, when you look at it, I was just really excited about it because, again, this fits in our budget, in our overall budget, and for the cost that we're getting this done for, it's basically
the alternate for about $80,000.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's basically less than what we paid before to get all four tracks resurfaced based on that. So that is the recommendation in terms of what we need to do, and that, like I said, will provide us not only when we have the new turf fields, it's going to be brand new tracks, they're going to be restriped, and we're going to have new lighting as well. And that's another piece I think Terry will probably talk about a little bit at the facilities meeting, but the poles were in the original scope to replace the wooden poles because those were rotting out, and we had them inspected, and they're like, you got to get them out of there. And so
the new ones are telescoping, and
you're right. The new ones now, they're all steel constructed poles, no wooden telephone poles. They'll last forever. And the original scope called for the old lights to be reinstalled on the new poles. Well, they wanted, we bid it as an alternate for new lights, and again, I have to give Terry credit. He went through one of our cooperatives, this Buy Boards, and he found a couple other vendors, and he worked them back and forth, and he went round and round about I don't know how many times, but in the end, what it ended up being is we're getting new lighting at all 4 buildings with the savings of over like $300,000 off it, what it originally was.
I was in Bill's mid-month.
Yeah. So I mean, really, really exciting. Come this fall, we're going to have showcase facilities,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit sad that I'm not going to be here, but I'll get over it. But I really am excited for our kids and for our community because it's going to be.
Seem like they're on track to have
Yes.
mid-June.
Yeah, the turf is going down at Oak Forest. We're doing them in stages, so the installers will be out there this week, and first thing they'll do is they'll put the Brock safety shock pad down, which again we're the only schools in the Illinois area that have that pad. That's going to guarantee us a Gmax of 100 or less, which is a safety component that nobody has. And it's just, I mean, we're really excited about it. And then because we're putting that down, the turf that we also have is, and again, I have to give Terry credit for negotiating and working with Greenfields to get the turf in. It's going to be a much better turf surface than any of these other, or any of our, surrounding districts have, because of the volume of the carpet weight that's going into this turf as a result too of the shock pad. So I mean, it's really going to be an incredibly safe field for our athletes to play on, and from a cost-effective standpoint, we're blowing the doors off of everybody.
Wow.
I mean, we've seen what 230 did when they put theirs in, and that was 10 years ago, and that was 3 fields, and our proposal is probably about $700,000 less for 4 fields than what they paid for. So I mean, and the fact that they're on time, on schedule, in the rainiest spring that we've had in history is just, again, Terry's been out there beating them up every which way to make sure that they're on schedule and staying on track. So, it's, again, very, very exciting overall as far as that goes.
That's great.
So we okay with rejecting the ball field bid?
Did we ever approve? I'm confused. We never approved it.
We never approved it, but you have to formally reject it.
Okay.
And then we can go forward with what we want to do next. And we bid the track out, but we never formally approved that, whereas all the other construction components to phase 1 we did approve. Hoppy's Landscape and all the other components, we formally approved them before they started, after the bids were opened.
Will that ball field come back at some point?
Yeah, it will. Yes. No, that's still going to be in the scope. We're not losing that.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do is get some other contractors to look at it, because we only had one company bid it, Sportsfield, and they were way high. So, for the scope of what we wanted them to do, the architect said, no, they're not. So he said we can go some other avenues there, but it's not being eliminated. It will still be a component of what we have over there. So that's all I have, unless anybody else has anything.
No, I think I'm good.
Well, I would just like to say thank you guys. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you two. I'm going to miss you guys greatly. I definitely am.
I'll be around to bother you, don't worry.
Oh, no, I don't. But this is my last finance committee
It is
meeting.
your last finance. Oh,
so
my.
I'm signing off after 11 years of doing finance committee meetings. Yeah, it has been.
Well, Tom, I think the district is
14 years.
in a much better place because of you. So thank you for everything and your hard work.
You're very welcome.
A lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, and I think that because of it, and because of a lot of the responsible, financing that you did, now they're able to do things like this. And We'll be thanking you for many, many years to come.
I have to share something with you that I saved, and I just went over it today on the way out. I'll show it to you. Get a kick out of that. So
Good
you guys
deal.
will too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we will adjourn.
Sign 'em out.
38.
7:38.